Hi friends, welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I'm Austin, and today's build is San Myshuno High School. This build was definitely something. It took over 5 hours to build, and on top of that, there was a previous attempt before it that ended up with me scrapping the entire thing and starting completely over, which that's the build you see here. So all in all, I invested about 13 hours into this build, and that's like, work into it, but that's not taking into consideration the fact that, I take a ton of breaks from building. So this took me about 3 weeks to do, so I'm really happy to be done with it. It's a gorgeous build in my opinion. It's something I'm so proud of, and I honestly never thought I could do a build like this, so I am really happy with it. To give a bit of background into the build, it is a science and art school, kind of meant to be really cutting edge because it's in the city hub. And so there are a ton of science classrooms thanks to a suggestion on Twitter. I decided to do this, and there are 2 private painting studios. There's a 2-floor library, a nurse's office. Yeah, there's just a ton of stuff. I've sort of already forgotten everything in this build, but all I can remember was that it was really stressful and a lot of fun. So since this is a science themed build, I thought I'd talk about what I did in school when it came to science, or how I did in school when it came to science. And to make a long story short, it wasn't very good. I was not really good at science. It was sort of embarrassing. I pretty much floated by with C's in all my science classes. Now that's from middle school onward, so I was definitely not somebody you would want to be tutoring you in science, but I was okay enough to pass my classes, which, I mean, in high school, that's sort of the goal, I guess. But I will talk a little bit about my favorite science class, and before I do that, science in the first few years of high school and middle school was just stressful. I could not pay attention. It was boring. When I was first learning about physical sciences or earth science, I thought, oh man, this is boring. Maybe next year I'll learn something more interesting, and that pretty much continued. That cycle continued every year until my senior year, when I needed to take a science class, and it was either chemistry, which I knew I would be terrible at, or criminal science. It had a different name at my school, but it's forensic science. It was sort of a mix of physical science, the science behind bodies and death and stuff, and also a little bit of psychology, and it was a really fun class. I had a great teacher, and I think that was definitely the only science class where I passed with an A. I remember we learned about evidence and was of evidence, and really gruesome stuff, and people came in and talked to us about it. It was all in all a really fun class, and definitely a class that's kind of nice to have in senior year, because in English, I remember senior year was the most stressful at the time, because you're reading a bunch of old books and having to talk about them, and it definitely was not fun. So being able to kind of relax, sit back, and hear about dead people was really the highlight of my day sometimes. But then after high school, I knew that I wouldn't be fortunate enough to have a science class that I enjoyed as much, and so for graduation requirements, well, I didn't actually graduate, but to graduate you need to take a science class. But You can take broader classes, like I took a cultural humanities class, which was like a mix of science, history, and whatever the heck else it was. And that was really fun and interesting. I did okay in the class, but whatever. I was just happy to not be doing science. Like, I never took a formal chemistry class in school, but I did take like quarter semesters or like quarter years in like broader science classes, and that was like always a struggle for me, and so I didn't want to take the class because I knew I would just fail. And I know a lot of people love chemistry classes, but I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I really excelled in English and creative, more creative classes, and that criminal science or whatever they called it at my school class. But just never, like, science and math for me was the worst. I struggled all 4 years of school, college, and everything before that. But actually, on the subject of math, since I doubt that I'm going to be doing a math-oriented school, in high school, like I said, I skated by in science with C's. I did okay in PE or physical education classes, and then when it came to math, I was terrible. And I've only ever got, or in high school, I only ever got a single bad grade, below a C in one class, and it was my math class, and it was the worst. Like, that was the worst class I ever had. Like, I don't tend to say I hate people, but I didn't really like my teacher, mostly because, like, I would sit in class and they would talk, I'd have a question, I'd raise my hand and they wouldn't answer, So first time, maybe I thought they just didn't see my hand. I was in the back of the class, and no, they never really answered my questions. I would get low grades on tests, and I would be told to, go to after school to get tutoring from my teacher. And I only went once because I sat there for an hour and a half waiting to get help from my teacher, and she just never helped. And I just sat there for an hour and a half, always being told that I was going to be the next person helped, but then somebody else would come in and I'd get passed up. And it was fun, I guess, because I didn't have anything better to do. It wasn't like I was working on a play at the time that, was going in front of people in a week, and, there was no stress or anything. But I was lucky, though, in that I did have a great classmate. Actually, a couple of great classmates that were able to, tutor me towards the end of the year. And I had 50% in the class, and I was able to get up to I think it was a 67. I almost got a C in the class, and I didn't. So I was, in trouble. Not really. Nothing bad happened. I still graduated and everything, so it didn't really matter. But, it's just something to look back on and go, geez, that sucks. But yeah, so in terms of math, wasn't the best. Math in college, it was hit or miss. I, just not that good at math. I'll just end it there. There's nothing more interesting about that. So, also I should mention about this build is that if you've been wondering the last few weeks why there haven't been many videos, I might have touched on it at the beginning of this video, but this is the reason. Like I said, I didn't spend much time on any other builds because I like to give as much time and attention to one build at a time, because that seems to be the best for me. And so, with that being said, nothing else was getting done, and it was annoying for sure, because I love posting videos and I love interacting with everybody and I love watching videos. But then it was that thing of anytime I sat down to relax to watch some Sims videos, the stress of this build would just follow me. So it definitely was a lot of work. And I did this painting studio area just kind of for fun. I did it on 2 floors, partially because I haven't done anything like that before, and I thought it was cool. and also because I didn't know what to do with these two rooms. This is a really weird layout. As you can see, that's very open on all the levels. You know, you can see the tree coming from the base of the build. That was just kind of something weird that I wanted to do, because I really wanted to make this like a, I don't know, like a showpiece. I wanted this to be really bizarre and high-tech, and I think I achieved that with this build. It was definitely tough, to say the least, and yeah. But this build, since this build took so long, this is quite the long video, I'll say that. So talking about the build, I could probably talk for an hour about this build, but it would mainly be complaining about just everything else about school and this build that I absolutely hated. But I should talk a little bit more about the future of this channel and the upcoming videos, because, you know, I went a couple weeks without a build, so many of you may have thought that I was just kind of giving up, but I am not. I am continuing to push out builds. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, there will already be a couple of builds here. There were a couple of videos that I didn't post because I did actually take a break on this build, I should mention. I did work on another build, but it was sort of that thing of every time I did a voiceover and tried to edit the voiceover for a previous video, like Oasis Springs High School, I just couldn't stop thinking about this build, to the point where one of my voiceovers for Oasis Springs High School, I ended up talking about half of it, which that's a short video. Half of that video I ended up talking about this build, and yeah, that was not good. But this build is actually wrapping up, surprisingly enough, and it's really weird to see this build come together, because it was just like a blank slate for so long, and I'm just so happy to be done with it. I really am. I love how it came out, but oh my goodness, this was so much work, and I know other people spend a lot of time on all their builds, but I don't have that sort of patience, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I like I said, I was going to talk a little bit about the future of the channel. There are going to be more high school builds in the future. I still have to do 2 or 3. I'm only doing it for hospitable places. That's the term, right? I'm only doing it for places where Sims can live, and also where there's plenty of residential places. So I'm not using the Get to Work world, and I'm not using the Jungle Adventures or the other one. What's the other one called? Shoot, I can't think of the other one. Outdoor Retreat. There we go. Thanks for the help. So yeah, I'm not gonna do builds for those, but there will be a build for every other place. And then after that, I have a couple more exciting series coming out. Build series, I should say, and I'm really excited to show you them. But anyways, you can see screenshots are here. There are quite a few, and I wasn't able to post them all onto this video because I had about 3 minutes of screenshots if I had them all timed at 3 seconds. So it was a little over 2 minutes actually, because there were quite a few screenshots. But yeah, I hope you enjoy these, and if you want to see every kind of part of this build, then definitely consider downloading it on the gallery. I know there are a ton of packs here, which is never fun because that, limits how many people can download and enjoy this build. But I will say, if you don't have a lot of packs and you want a high school build, then I did Willow Creek High School, and that was base game plus Get to Work. So if that sounds interesting to you, then definitely check it out. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.